she's been bathing in spirit waters, like Hetch has, to repair his back.
And let me tell you, the spirit waters of this plane and versus the plane of Runeterra, I don't know. I think they got it a little better than we got it. But,
yeah,
because Epsom salt's still awesome.
Welcome to Casuals of Runeterra, episode 174. I'm your host, Ryan, here with the other host, Edge.
Yeah, and we got a fun one for us here. And by fun, I mean, it's okay. But it's new.
Yeah, it is new. Let's get housekeeping out of the way, and then we'll set you up for what to expect. Housekeeping up top, you can listen to us everywhere. Visit us at podcastcore.com for all of our info. Email us at the same name at gmail.com. Follow us on all the platforms. That helps with discoverability. We appreciate it because we don't have sponsors or anything like that. So we're grassroots, baby. Leave a like and comment wherever you listen. And tell a friend to discover your own convictions by listening to the Casuals of Runeterra podcast.
Yeah, that was like borderline cryptic. Like, what in the world, dude?
Yeah, so today we're talking about a new character, which we haven't gotten in a while, which we were surprised about, Yunara. And this episode is Blind Faith. We're going to go over her bio, and this is written by, and I hope I don't mess this name up, Christina Atanasowski. And there's some help here by Ellen Stimmel, which we've covered their stories in the past. So two people have touched this. It seems like Christina's no longer with Riot at the time. So this is probably a story that was written, then touched up, and was released at a later date. But this story is unique in the sense that it's a collection of archived information. And it has a statement at the top of the story that it's broken into pieces, but they're non sequiturs, right? You're pretty much getting what you get. And then not only are they fragments, but they seem to be fragments that have been touched up based on like historian involvement. So we also don't know what is true of this information.
Yeah, and when we get into what we have with the bio, like that makes a bit more sense as far as with her character, because that kind of goes along with the theme of like what her character has been doing up to this point, right? But it is very disjointed, and if you have been keeping up with this launch, like you may have noticed that there was a bunch of other things that also got dropped with Yunara. So there was just a lot of information, but none of it was together. So, but hey, in this episode, we'll try to put it together for you. So
yeah, we
don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we do this a lot with plenty of the stories where we take some liberties in how we organize our notes and how we present it to make more sense, to make it more linear. And we'll talk more in the general discussion about our issue with this story. But yeah, we're gonna do our best. So let's hop into it, and then we'll get into the general discussion where we kind of criticize it and kind of tell you what to expect in the future. Because we will come back to Yunara in a more concrete explanation with information, because she blends more with everyone else rather than being on her own, which makes this tough. But we start with all good stories told in 3 parts. Part 1, and we're going to break this into fragments, right, by the way, because these are fragments of stories or fragments of recordings. So there are 6 fragments total, and I'll state that. So first fragment, we start, it's a rainy day, and Azukana, and this is also something we're going to have to figure out. There's a lot of names here that we haven't heard. How do you say that?
I got your back on that one. So Azukana, like definitely more with like the like Asian pronunciations to kind of go with the Ionian theme.
So Azukana.
Okay. Yeah, the Azukana are lesser demons, and the only stories that really bring up specifically the Azukana is Yone and Yasuo. So the demon that Yone fought, that once he defeated the demon in the spirit realm, ended up kind of bonding onto him and becoming the mask. That is an Azukana.
Mhm.
But like, if you don't know what an Azukana is before that, this is not the story that's going to tell you. It's just going
Yeah.
to tell you there's like a bunch of them.
Yeah. So this is a rainy day. Azukanas are attacking a temple, and Yunara leaves her quarters to go fight about 13 of them off. And specifically, there's 2 of them that are very strong, but she, does work and expects and is appreciative of that challenge of these 2. Uh, this kind of gives us a sense like, okay, what do we get from this? Like we said, it's very small chunks, right? So she's some form of guard. She guards a temple. We know we're in Ionia. There's demons attacking it. Some of them are like greater demons, some are lesser demons. That's what I get so far.
Yeah. And for the most part, like all of these, from like reading up on specifically the Azukana, uh, with these, they are entirely all lesser demons, but
Yeah.
they are kind of in the same family as like Evelyn, or yeah, Evelyn and Tom Kinch.
Yeah.
Where it's like they would be the greater demons.
Mhm.
So like I think like the 2 here that kind of give Yunara a bit of more of a challenge, we could think of them as more like an elite monster, right? Like, and
Yeah.
not necessarily
That
like
makes
a
sense.
boss,
Yeah.
but a harder challenge than like the other demons that were there.
Yeah. And the second half of this first fragment, which that's a confusing statement, I'm sorry. After this skirmish, she realizes, okay, I'm now near the temple's entrance, and she wanted to avoid this. We don't know why. And she leaves and then meditates. And when she meditates, she realizes that, although she enjoyed this fight, which seems like she's kind of been in between fights at this point, um, she appreciated the fight and the challenge, but she's realizing there's more Azukana attacking lately than before. And she decides to now add another full circle perimeter of defense to her daily duties. So once again, now we know that she's guarding something. She's guarding this temple, and her day to day is pretty much this, but now the cadence has improved. And this is where the first fragment ends, taking us to the second fragment.
Yeah, and this kind of like it, as far as like if you're looking only at the bio, like it is kind of hard to like piece together, but it does give the vibe that it's like where she's at this temple. Yes, she's guarding it, but this is more of a training session, right? Like it's that old the old trope of like I'm going into the mountains and sitting under a waterfall for months
Yeah.
to train my body and spirit. Like that's what she's doing as far as at this temple, but instead of sitting under a waterfall, she's killing a bunch of demons. So
Yeah. I mean, we're going to learn more. So, second fragment, still part 1.
God.
So, Yunara is now in the spirit realm, and she's just kind of thinking about things, and she's thinking about the dead most of all. First, she's thinking the most about her old master, Master Lao, and he taught her about the importance of their mission. And then she starts to think about Grandmaster Binan, and he raised them to become full alkylites, but he did that in parallel because at the times they were also preparing to go to war. So it seems like they end up being not fully fledged soldiers. And finally, she mourns some of the loss, some of the people who died, some of those acolytes who died because they didn't heed the warnings of how serious the threat was that they were going to undertake, because a lot of them were just becoming acolytes. And then that's where part 1 ends.
Yeah, and let me go ahead and just name drop here, which is shout out to all of my Dynasty Warriors and Romancing Saga fans. Because if you did a double take, like reading Master Lao, like I
Yeah.
did, but no, do we know who Master Lao is / was? No, we just know that it was Yunara's master. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is kind of part, as we move into part 2, this is part of the confusion. This is what makes it difficult to present. But alas, part 2, we start with the third fragment. So Yunara is now in a battle, and she's alongside Master Lao. And she's able to strike down a servant of the fallen, quote unquote, that's attacking Lao's blind spot. He turns in appreciation, but then he sees a symbol on this dead man's tunic and looks horrified. He immediately tears off Yunara's gloves, tells her she will come for us, and Yunara can tell in his eyes that she needs to run. And as she's leaving, Master Lao turns and he faces this appearing immortal foe head on, and Yunara then witnesses what the immortal can do to people. And that's where that fragment ends.
And as far as like who the immortal is, we do not get any details like that in here. We just know that this is essentially like an eternal enemy, so that like this is the big bad as far as for like the Kinku organization. So
Yeah.
whether that is someone like a named hero like Evelyn, or maybe even like LeBlanc, we don't know that.
Yeah.
But we do know that this is like, this is target number one as far as for the Kinku order.
Yeah, and as far as that's concerned, Hetch made a good point bringing up these examples. Listen to our Evelyn episode, because that will give you an example about what Evelyn can do and why she does things. And that makes it even more terrifying. So if you understand that, that will give you a more basis. Like, hopefully this isn't your first listen of our podcast. Hopefully you've listened to some other stuff, either Darken related or Immortal related or like God related. And that will give you the basis of to be able to use these fragments, right? And to draw conclusions. But if you're coming in fresh, we apologize. This shouldn't be your first episode.
This is a rough one if this is your first
Stop right
one.
now.
But
Run.
no, if you stop right now, just make sure it's to listen to one of our other episodes. If you don't, if you're not interested in those, just stay with us.
Yeah, don't go listen to other podcasts.
Necrit's doing fine.
We get real jealous. So the fourth fragment is Yunara reflecting on the vows she pledged when she became the Fist of Shadow. And I'm going to go ahead and just read the full quote here of the vow. Quote, "I will follow the eye's guidance and turn to the heart for wisdom. I will vanquish all who disrupt balance. I will prune the tree of weakness and blight. I will serve no false gods, nor kanme. I will not allow my feelings to prevent what must be done."
Yeah, it's really cool as far as getting like the actual Kinku order oath.
Yeah.
And specifically with the Kinku order, like if again, apologies if this is your first episode, but we do get to see from like our episodes covering Kennen, Shen, Zed, and then like the stories involving like Akali. We know as far as like within the Kinku order that the position that Yunara holds of the Fist of Shadow, like that means that she's in the top 3 of at least like the mortals when it comes to the Kinku order. This is a position that was held by Akali leading up to the Noxian War, and then ultimately she ends up stepping away because she's like, "Yep, no, we killing Noxians now. I don't care about the spirit world."
Yeah, and then we get the second part of this fourth fragment, which is still in part 2. I apologize. And we get a little bit of our background. So we find out that Yunara was given to the order as a child, so immediately orphaned off for a greater purpose. And she followed the master's examples growing up closely without truly knowing their wishes. So she was given to the order, like I said, for the greater cause. And also just as she grew up, followed what she was told for the greater cause. And then after the war, and I specifically think they're thinking about the Darken War here, we haven't touched that yet, so we understand if you're confused. We've touched a bunch of wars and a million runations. But we haven't touched the Darken War yet. So this is referencing the Darken War. She relinquishes her role to someone else as the Fist of Shadow, and then she swears to guard the Temple of Twilight in a role in where she is the one that's meant to deliver judgment, which would be purely based on her decision-making.
Yeah, and this is very interesting as far as like her giving up the position of the Fist of Shadow while still acting within the Kinku order, right?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of interesting that she like had to give up. Again, this is one of the top positions within the entire order, but to get more freedom, she had to step down, and
Yeah.
that's kind of weird. But um, as specifically with it being like with the wars, this is kind of interesting because it gives us a time frame, right?
Hmm.
Like this is a very interesting thing because with like like Ryan said, we haven't covered that on the show yet. But if you have listened to our episodes following like Shurima and specifically like Aatrox and some of the other Darkin, a lot of their stuff happens a long time ago. And
Yeah.
we do know, as far as with things within the spirit world, time doesn't make sense there. So
Yeah.
it very well could be that she's one of the OG Kinku, but we don't
Yeah.
know that yet.
Yeah. Wait for General. We'll get there. Hedge is getting excited. We'll make this fun. Don't worry. So this takes us to part 3 and the 5th fragment. And we start this one with Yunara beginning to blend her time spent inside and outside of meditation. Like it's becoming a fugue state, if that makes sense. And her training is now about less combat and more non-combat using, I'm going to try my best, the Eon Erna, which I believe are the weapons that you see in her animations. And she's becoming perfectly synchronized with these weapons to be able to use them in different ways, like use them like stepping stones, use them as projectiles. You've seen the character. If you've seen the character, you get what's going on here. And then also, she's been bathing in spirit waters, like Hetch has, to repair his back.
And let me tell you, the spirit waters of this plane and versus the plane of Runeterra, I don't know. I think they got it a little better than we got it. But,
Yeah,
but
because
Epsom salt's still awesome.
yeah, it's the best we got. But her spirit water makes her faster, stronger, and also attunes her more to those relics she's using. And then she mentions that she actually has a longing for the hot springs of Koshin, which obviously we know she's not there yet anymore because she relinquished that position and is now doing her side gig.
Yeah. And all we know is that this is a side gig. We don't really know more details about this side
gig
gig
economy, I tell you.
Like,
Even Ionia is not safe.
Like I will say that it's like this is feels like doing Shin's bio specifically with the attitude that Shin holds of like if something pops up in the spirit world, he's just gone. And like this is what this feels like. I'm just like yeah, no, I'm bathing in the waters. Oh, so what is that weapon? Oh, she's gone.
Yeah. Shen is great. We love Shen. Go listen to our Shen episode. Shen is fun because he's so different.
Shin is fun because he just doesn't care. He has a job, and that's all he cares about.
So we're in our final fragment, which is the 6th fragment. And Yunara's having a vision while meditating, but she isn't quite sure if it's a vision or if it's a memory. And she's chasing in this memory or vision. She's chasing and doing battle with some Darkin and their followers. She's able to defeat her targets, but suddenly the whole environment changes and she's in a new location. And now where her comrades were standing, there's just this cloaked figure in foreign robes. And then it kind of fades away. And, when she comes back to, she remembers that the temple that she's in, or she was in this vision, is heavily warded both against physical and spiritual intrusions. So she doesn't quite know if this was a prophecy or a nightmare. And this experience doesn't deter her. It kind of bolsters her cause. And she once again swears to never lose faith until what is done, or what needs to be done is done. And that's where our story, quote unquote, ends.
Yeah. I for one feel like that this is actually a very pivotal story to all of Runeterra as a whole. Because for me, the reason I say that is because for me this solidifies without a shadow of a doubt that Teemo does have magic shrooms.
The war criminal.
The war criminal doesn't only have war crime shrooms. He's got fun shrooms too.
So this takes us to our general discussion session. So if you want to leave off here, sure, but you might want to stick around so we can clarify some stuff.
Yeah, this is one of the general discussions where it's like this is going to be the star of the show because,
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in because
Okay.
I'm going to just outright say it. This is one of my least favorite bios of any champion we've ever had.
Yeah.
It is so fragmented, which sure it's saying that it's fragments,
Hanging a
but
lantern on it. Yeah.
yeah, but it's like just because you're giving it to us in fragments doesn't mean that it has to be so disjointed.
Yeah.
Um, and on top of that, every bio up to this point has told us about the hero.
Yeah.
Like we've got to know as far as like where this hero came from. We got to know what has happened to this hero to make them who we know them as in the game.
Yeah.
And then we get more stories that kind of flesh out the world around them, right? Whereas this doesn't feel like a bio. This is
Yeah.
just a story that is supposed to go with a bio, but there is no bio. Um, and then on top of that, it's like if you want more details, you have to go and read a comic, watch a music video, and an end game event where you're playing a Jin Zhao that's and it's connected to the Spirit Blossom Festival
Yeah.
and the release of a Jin Zhao, Zed, Kale, and Karma skin.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. Like it's so much stuff, which I've got all of that. I went ahead and made notes of all of that stuff there, but it is a lot. Like it would end up being like almost 2 more episodes as far as explaining what has brought Xin Zhao back to Ionia, specifically for the Spirit Blossom Festival. But he has an ulterior motive as to why he's going back, and then that combined with like Kennan's involvement specifically with the Kinku Order, because it turns out that he does actually know Yunara. It's all over the place.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like this isn't a story that we could. This is a first time that we've covered a bio where I don't have the feeling of like go read it yourselves. It's done really well. Go read it. Go enjoy it. It's so all over the place that it's impossible to go read and enjoy unless you want to go and consume 5 different sources of media to put it all together.
Yeah, and we'll touch on that stuff down the road. There's I want to say the reason we did this episode now is just because more of the timing release of Yunara, which also feels weird. She came out at a very weird time, and we wanted to make sure we got it out there so you guys can listen to us cover it if you haven't listened to it yourself or read it yourself and see what we thought about it. But ultimately, we probably would have left this off until we went to talk about Ionia in more of a arcane capacity as we prepare for it, right?
Yeah.
And Hetch nailed it. And one to give further context on a good version of this type of story is Hui. If you listen to our Hui episode, Hui has a story that's like this, right? Both the Hui episodes. But Hui is set up as a character first, and thematically, because of his bouts of depression, because of his magic and how that works, it stylistically makes more sense to do his story like this, right? Another example is like Ezreal, right? Where Ezreal will have journal logs as part of his story. Or Heimendinger. See, thematically, it fits with those characters to tell the story, so it works. We also have plenty of information on who those characters are. With Yunara, this being directly her bio makes it tough because as a character, just based on this, she doesn't really have any character. She's more of as it's described to us, she's pretty much a puppet for the order, right? She doesn't have her own emotions. She has this faith, but she was always defined by faith. I mean, from her birth to her being given up, from how she was raised through the masters. It was just her serving a purpose, but no convictions of her own. And it seems like they're trying to use these stories to say this is her beginning to get her convictions, but we know that she's like not a young character
Yeah.
because she grew up with Kennen coming up. And with the spirit realm, Hedge made a great point, it manipulates time. So since she lives in the spirit realm a lot, like Shen does, she's not always in the plane, like the normal plane. So even though her character model looks young and Kennen's a Yordle, well, shit, she could be older. And also she's not the same generation of like the modern ninjas. So Akali, right? Like, so it leaves you with too many gaps because we know about those other characters. Most people know about those other characters. You know nothing about Yunara. You're plopping her in like this. It causes a ton of confusion.
Yeah. And that's also why I have such beef with this being her bio, because with these other characters that you just mentioned,
Yeah.
right? Like we know Kennen, we know Akali. If you don't know who Kennen or Akali are, and if you don't know who Shin is, you can click on the League of Legends website, hit the bio, and you're going to get all the necessary information to have an idea of who they are.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to know you're not going to know like the extra stories, right? Like you're not going to know the involvement that Shin has with his personal relationship with Zed. You're not going to know about the hunting of Jin, right? Like you're not going to know the fun stuff, but you're going to know who Shin is. You are not going to know who Yunara is if you just go read her bio. I mean, hell, I'll ask you a question real quick to kind of, punctuate my point here.
Mm-hmm.
What is the Eon Erna?
I don't know.
Exactly. Exactly.
I guess it's her weapons or like her bracelets.
In her like champion description,
or the balls?
It is.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's the balls that float around her, because that makes sense as far as like being able to use it as stepping stones.
Yeah.
But in her champion description, I'm gonna read it verbatim, which is Yunara has spent centuries cloistered away in the spirit realm, honing her skills with the Eon Erna, a legendary Kinku relic.
Okay.
But that's it. That's it. We have like we're speculating what part of like what she fights with is even the weapon. It's a legendary relic of the Kinku Order, which ties in multiple Ionian champions.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we've ever heard of it.
Yeah.
And they don't even tell us what it is. Why is it a legendary relic? Like,
and once again,
how old is she?
Why did she get the access to it?
Yeah.
And remember, she left her job. So that's the other part.
We haven't even touched that she left her job.
And she kept her laptop. But okay. We'll leave this here because we don't want to turn this into, I mean, obviously we tell you when we love stories, we tell you when we're excited, we tell you when stories are middling. But it doesn't mean when we don't like a story, we don't want to completely beat up on it.
No.
And
right.
There is more here because Yunara is a piece of a big puzzle, right? It's kind of like how we haven't gone back to Demacia through Lux and Garen yet, even though we did 5 years ago when we started our episodes, right? Because that's not where Riot is at the moment, right? Riot is going to Noxus. We want to get you guys ready for Noxus. So that being said, we will touch on more stories, obviously the Dark and War and stuff like that, that will encapsulate more of that understanding. If you want to, after this, it's not our focus, but go listen to all of our Ionia stuff because we do build that out for you so you understand what's happening in Ionia at that time frame, and that will help give you more context. But I think the root here, our thesis statement is this was a weird release at a weird time and a weird way to present it. We don't really have a hard set rule on what a bio should be, but this is the first time where I'm like, oh, well, it shouldn't be this.
To your point, we do not have like a hard set rule on what a bio should be, and this is the one that's like, wow, we should, like we really should. And I've been ripping on this really hard, but again, there's a bunch of content that goes alongside with this, and all of it together does paint a better picture for Yunara. And part of that is that there is a big story as far as with her return from the spirit realm.
Yeah.
Because all like the in-game event is labeled as the Battle of Koshin. And Koshin is one of the Kinku Order's like major temples. So there's definitely some good stuff going on in this story. It should be the bio. Like that should be your bio. Why do we have 6 fragments that aren't connected to each other as her bio that is like expecting you to know stuff about characters we never heard of? Like, who's Master Lao?
Yeah.
Like, who's Master Lao? The I don't even remember the other master's name that died in front of her, because like the only mention that we get of him in the bio is like, you've done well. Oh no, I will die for you now. That's not a character anymore. That's just a faceless NPC in an anime. That's a dude with regular hair that we don't even see his face getting ganked in front of this purple-haired anime girl. Like, that's all he is.
We'll say this. The design is cool. She looks cool, right?
She looks cool.
And that's the thing is, she looks cool. Now we just need a personality. Yeah. And then we can attach that to it, right? Because I know for instance, like with our book club stuff we've done, listen to our, Runeterra book club stuff. If you haven't, I make a big deal about how Callista was a character whose design wasn't fully appreciated, but turned out when fleshed out to be an amazing character, right? I love Callista. And most people would hear that and be like, what? Like, you don't even play her. What about her? And once we have that character, you're like, oh, she's great, right? It's a great story.
Yeah.
And I want that for Yunara. Because the design is good, but I haven't heard anybody talking about her in any specific way. I haven't heard her making any rumblings. And I think it's because we don't have enough yet. And I think that's not, I don't want to say it's not the fault of Riot. I think this rollout was just not well done. But we'll see. Character looks cool. There's always hope. And there's plenty of other characters if it's not a great character, right? She can always be a side character. She doesn't have to be a main character.
Yeah, I agree that she does look really cool. I will just be the asshole and play the opposite end of this, which is who cares anymore, because she's also an on-hit magic damage dealing AD carry. And I for one remember spending all of my hard-earned points to unlock Sejuani just to have Nautilus get dropped. Yep. So you know what? Screw you, Yunara. Like Kaisa exists. I will play Kaisa. Screw you.
So with that, listen to our Kaisa episode. And also, thanks for listening. And we'll be back soon with the next episode.
Yeah, take care, everybody.